passionate instigator and dynamic problem solver, Dr. Kevin Ross Emery, the host of the Dr. Kevin Radio Show, will be taking you outside the box, behind the curtain, and identifying the load of BS we are fed every day. And now, Dr. Kevin.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes, where we're changing the world, wait for it, one ohm at a time. Here on the Dr. Kevin Show, we like to mix it up every now and then. As you all know, the first Thursday of every month, we have Matt Connaughton from Matt Connaughton Unleashed on, and we combine the world of spirituality and politics, and we get something that kind of looks like a 3-year-old's attempt at doing spin art, but it's fun. And then we are doing a special round of shows for jolly, happy, ho, 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 merry, whatever makes you happy holiday season that we are currently in. I'm a Merry Christmas guy. I'm a Happy Hanukkah guy. I'm a cool, it's Kwanzaa guy. I'm just like one of those guys. I am talking to you wearing my Cookie Monster, wearing a Santa hat t-shirt, and it says, "Me ate your gift, Cookie." Well, actually, it doesn't say cookie, but it says, "Me ate your gift." I got my Santa hat on. I got my blue and purple penguin socks on, and I'm wearing my chacos, my sandals, so you can see my socks, because I'm just one of those disgusting kind of holiday people. So, sharing this disgusting holiday type of happy, merry, ho, ho, ha, ha, ho, he, he, and a couple of la-di-das. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the Wizard of Oz. I have none other than Lori Otto, my hostess with the mostest on the Web of Light show, which will be coming back on at some point as it's been hanging out in limbo. And Lori is joining me for the rest of the month as we share happy, motivational, inspirational, make you smile stories that we have found, because we want this to be a happy, happy, ho-ho season for you as well. And we got some big announcements coming up about the Dr. Kevin Show and the year 2020, but we'll get to those shortly. Miss Lori, Reverend Lori,
Dr.
Miss Reverend Lori, how are you?
I am awesome. I am thrilled to be here with you. Thank you for having me back. And I'm just excited. I'm not quite the holiday person you are anymore, but boy, I do love to see people happy.
Hey, you know, it's all I can say is, you know, I hit Thanksgiving, and I wanted to ask, how was your Thanksgiving, by the way? I don't think I've talked to you Thanksgiving. Go ahead.
No, just earlier today. It was nice. We, for the first time in our lives, did Thanksgiving just the two of us. I don't want to do it again, but it was nice to do it once, because we've never in our lives had that opportunity.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, which one?
Oh, I like that.
Well, I did Thanksgiving Day, and I did it with my mother came up with my niece and her husband, and we had Elmer. You know Elmer.
Yeah.
Who still does work for me, but used to work for me full time for years as my personal assistant, and now still helps me out some. And we had Tim and Elizabeth from Shaman Stream. You know Tim and Elizabeth?
Yes, I do.
And I'm trying to think. So I don't know, there's a few other people there. But anyways, so we had 10 or 11 people for Thanksgiving, and I did the whole 14-hour cook the turkey nice and slow, make it juicy and moist, and
nice.
And made homemade cranberry sauce, but had to go out the last minute and buy store-bought sauce because both Elmer and Jeff said they preferred canned sauce to my homemade sauce.
Really?
So I went out and got a couple of cans of that jellied crap. I mean, the jellied sauce that you get. And put it on the table so everybody could have the, what they wanted. And Elmer did some bacon sautéed Brussels sprouts.
Ooh, yummy.
Excellent. I made a big batch of gluten-free stuffing. And then I made regular stuffing for people that weren't gluten-free. And almost everybody preferred my gluten-free stuffing.
Nice.
I kept on looking and going, okay, yeah, next year I'm just doing the gluten-free.
There you go.
I had more of the non-gluten-free stuffing left over, which I can't eat, than I had of the gluten-free stuffing. So, it was good. The day started at 4:30 in the morning, and I was doing the final dishes at 9:30 at night.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Friday, did 8 hours, 7.5 hours of clients I had on Friday.
Wow.
And then Saturday did it all over again for Jeff's family. So I had another 10 people for dinner. I did a smoked turkey. So I did a whole second turkey. Was able to bring some stuff over, had to make some new stuff, and did the whole thing all over again. So that's why I say, which Thanksgiving?
Awesome. That's wonderful, though. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday.
But, Thanksgiving hits, and before Thanksgiving, I won't sing Christmas carols.
Nope.
I won't do the happy holiday stuff. I won't put out the decorations. But the day after Thanksgiving gets out of my way.
Yeah, I used to be that way, but this year I'm having a little trouble getting motivated. So I think I need all these feel-good, inspirational stories we're going to talk about tonight.
Well, and I'm semi-guilty of this. And I'm going to put out that I'm semi-guilty of this. I do get caught up in all of the travesty that's going on right now with our government. I just do.
Yeah.
And I get very upset with people that, are putting out trash things in their social media that are completely false, and the lack of responsibility. And I was like, when I called you and proposed this to you and you were all for it, I said, okay, I have been living in this toxic political environment and we need a little Christmas right this very minute.
Yes.
Candles at the window, carols at the spinet. We need a little Christmas.
There you go.
Oh, sorry.
Song. Amazing.
And I think everybody else does too. I think that we need to. I think we need a break. You're not going to change the people who. You're not going to change. A few people you might be able to influence. One way or the other. There are some people still sitting on fences, and I get very much about I won't, and I've actually had to kind of strike back at a couple of people who I've tried to avoid getting into this, that I know we are in a complete disagreement, that think, we are harassing our president and unfairly going after him. I have some of those on my timeline, and some of them I go after, and some of them I just say, you know what, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But when they actually put out false things, I got to the point I couldn't even ignore it anymore.
Right.
I have struck back, and then I've taken a couple of people and I've just put it down. I kept them as friends, but I can't see the stuff on their timeline because they don't care what crap that they share as long as it deflects from the fact that, you know, horrible things. Our president did horrible things, and they will put out any piece of crap to avoid owning that. And
right.
I would post things at the bottom of the comment. I would say, please check your facts. That's not true. Stop passing the story around. Here is the truth. You know, it doesn't fact check. It doesn't Snopes check. It doesn't do any of those things. You got to stop this. You know, well, how do we know that fact check isn't, you know, the fact check is a liberal fact check? No, actually, it's not.
Right.
Snopes is a liberal organization. Well, no, actually, it's not. And it's just like, I just can't do it. So, on to our motivational stories. Miss Lori. Miss Lori, before I go any deeper in the rant. As
yes,
my producer is shaking his head. Yes, my producer's shaking his head going, I thought this was going to be the happy show.
Yeah, happy. Let's do happy. I like happy.
Let's do happy. I am going to invite you to share the first happy story. Now, I went and posted all of mine so that they actually are, so people can read the whole story on the timeline, but I posted a bunch that I thought about bringing up. As you share stories, if you have links, if you want to hop on and post those as well, so people can actually go to. So let me do this. So this is a live call-in show. So you may call in at 202-570-7057. That's 202-570-7057. And you may share your inspirational and motivational stories that you have either heard or lived, or both. You heard it while you lived it. We're good about that. You can do both. Or you can go to facebook.com/MyDrKevin, MyDrKevin. When you go there, make sure you like the page. I'm a likable guy. Posted on the top of it are all of the different stories that I'm referring to tonight. I'm going to ask Lori if she has links to do the same so that we can. So you can read the whole story in its entirety. And if you really like it, next time you have this urge to box somebody's ears who's in deep denial on social media, you can come grab one of these stories and you can grab the link and you can post it and put a little smiley and say, at least until the end of this year, I'm going to just spread happiness. Oh,
I like that. Let's do that. That's cool.
Happy, ho, ho.
Happy.
So I'm going to invite you to start. Is there a story that really stood out to you that you would like to share?
Well, I have several stories actually that I'd like to share, but one I don't have a link to, but something that I came across just today that I think is wonderful and amazing. And apparently these types of things are happening all over the country now. And it's called Don't Buy whatever town you live in or whatever town is. So in my case, Don't Buy Merrimack. And the title's a little confusing, but what it is if somebody is in need, they can post their need on this forum, and if somebody can accommodate them, and it's all free, there's no cost allowed, then they do so. And there was this woman today that she said, you know, I'm sorry, this is kind of weird, but I just had a major expense. Does anybody have a prepaid phone card I could have? Now, that seems like such a strange thing to ask for, right? But the response back was so positive and overwhelmingly full of love for this woman. And there was a woman that said, you know, I bought one and a phone a year ago for a family member, and then we went a different route. They're yours. Just to help this woman because she's trying to get a job and she didn't want to miss any phone calls. but she had this major expense, so she couldn't afford to pay for her cell phone.
Yep.
And people stepped up in spades to help her out. It's just so wonderful.
You know, and go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
But yeah, I'm one of those believers that more often than not, your everyday person, and you know, I think your everyday American person, more often than not, given the opportunity, will do the right thing.
Yes.
And I, you know, and I think that, you know, of course, not everybody. There are shysters out there. There are people that take advantage of it. But I think that for the most part, people are still decent.
Yes.
When they can do a little something, when they can say a little something, if they can help out, if they can offer a little something, I think that they do. And I think we see it all the time. I think that people, there was an article, it's not one of my articles that I put out there, but, you know, I ran across this thing, and it was back when the whole thing happened at Pulse nightclub in Orlando. And I saw this little clip that popped up. I don't know why, but it popped up, and it was about all these service dogs that came from 6 or 8 states that came over to the place where the survivors of the Pulse nightclub shooting were. And I saw this clip of this guy, and somebody brought their service dog from like 3 states over and did the drive and paid for the gas and, you know, and showed up. And the guy said, "This is the first time I've even been able to talk since it happened," as he was patting the dog.
Aww.
And this, and so, you know, people do, you know, people do the right thing, and people do nice things, and people will show up. But I love this. So what is this site again? What is it called? Where is it? Tell me more about it again.
It's called Don't Buy Merrimack in this case. And, yeah, it was really, it was really a nice story that, you know, I came across. And they, you know, looking at it, the different things people have done and helped people with is just really amazing. And, yeah, I'll try to find a link here, but I didn't find one earlier.
Yeah.
But, you know.
It's called Don't Buy, which I'm sure really retail loves, but.
Right. So, yeah. So that was, you know, one. I mean, you know, but the thing is with this today, what I wanted to focus on, everyone knows about the famous people who do nice things. You know, Bon Jovi opening the restaurants for, you know, people without means to go in and eat free or, you know, pay what little they can or whatever, which is wonderful. But then people are like, but he's rich, right? But then you have like this 9-year-old boy from Birmingham, Alabama, who he and his parents started a social media campaign. They've done this now 3 years, and they raised $6,500 to buy sleeping bags, food, and socks for the homeless. That's a 9-year-old boy that started this. Come on, you got to be inspired by that.
The number of kids, all the way up to teenagers, you know, so I say this, you know, but the number of kid stories that you find out there of them doing something. There was actually a kid, this 5 or 6 year old boy who was finally going to get adopted, his whole class showed up with signs and hearts and stuff like that, and sat while he got legally adopted in the courtroom.
Right. Isn't that beautiful?
It's just absolutely amazing. We'll be right back here on the Dr. Kevin Show with Dr. Kevin, Reverend Lori, and inspirational, motivational stories to make the season right.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hello, and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show here in the ho, merry ha Christmas season and the ending of 2019. And I couldn't be spending my last 2 or 3 shows with somebody who is more inspiring and motivating to me than Lori Powers-Otto.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Kevin.
And we are sharing inspirational, motivational stories to make and keep the season bright, because there's just too much hate and negativity going on out there. And I think that this is a time when we can choose to live in whatever you celebrate. Yule, Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever it is, it's supposed to be a season of celebration and joy and gratitude, and that's what we are here, and we want to remind you to live in that. And it doesn't make any difference if those people are of the same faith or orientation or of the same color or race or from the same country. It's about love, and it's about celebration. And I'm going to share a story I found, and then I'm going to bop it back to Lori after I said that. And this is about a woman who confronts a man targeting children with anti-Semitic abuse on a London train. So this man, he was on the train, and he started reading anti-Jewish Bible passages to a young boy wearing a kippah. And then he threatened fellow passengers who tried to intervene in the situation. Later, a woman wearing a hijab confronts him. And she said, you know, I had to confront him. I would have loved more people to come up and say something, because if everyone did, I do not think it would have escalated in the way that it did, she told it. But being a mother of two, I know what it's like to be in that situation, and I would want someone to help if it was. And so we're going to ignore the part that we're having, you know, and this is actually in London, but, you know, we're having this anti-Semitic abusive behavior towards Jewish children. And the guy was arrested because over there it's illegal to do that. But here is a woman who was, if you read the story, and again, all of these stories are on facebook.com/MyDrKevin, so you can click on any of the links and read the stories yourself. But here is a Muslim woman taking on a guy who's going after a Jewish child and saying horrible things to him about being a Jew, being Jewish. What do you think?
You know, I think this woman's a hero. You know, she stood up for a child she didn't know. And any person that would target a child like this is just a coward. But we're going to focus on the woman. I mean, what she taught that boy is it's okay to be who you are. No one should ever berate you for that, and you don't have to tolerate it. I wish more people had the same courage this woman had. You know, because she knows what it's like to be targeted, and she just showed nothing but love for the boy, the children being targeted. And I think that's wonderful.
There is this, and there's 2 or 3 different versions of this out there, but I see it. And it is, you know, there's the one of the 2 little boys that are so excited, and one's black and one's white, and these little toddlers, and they run up and give each other a big hug. Yeah, and there's that picture. But I also saw one recently of 2 different kids, and they were like 4 or 5, and they had matching shirts on, and one was black, one was white, and they were talking about how they were twins.
Right. I love that.
They look like they were twins, and there's a few variations of it. And you know, I always think of the song out of South Pacific. We must be carefully taught to hate who the people are, who our parents hate. We must be carefully taught. And that was, I mean, my God, that was such an incredibly powerful song, especially if you think it was written in the 50s. But it's so true today. And you see these little kids, like the little kid that's doing the sleeping bag. And all these pictures of these little kids. And this woman didn't care that he was Jewish and she was Muslim. Didn't care about what's going on in Palestine and Israel. She cared about a child being targeted, and she intervened. And what would happen if more of us would speak out to these bullies? Because bullies target the vulnerable. And it's so important when you're in a position to speak out, to do something when somebody, for whatever reason, you don't have to agree with somebody's religion. You don't even have to agree with what somebody's saying, but the right to say it, to wear it, to whatever it is, whether it's a yarmulke or whether it's a rainbow flag or whether it's a cross or it's a Star of David. I don't care what it is, but I will defend your right to wear it. Exactly.
So and we all need to do that. Why we don't do that boggles my mind. You know, we're not all right. we're not right all the time. None of us are perfect. So to say you're wrong because you think or act or feel differently than I do is just ridiculous.
Well, and it is such a sign of insecurity and immaturity when you have to attack somebody. And I don't want to get into the negative part of this either, but I just always look at it says so much more about the bully. It says so much more about the person that's so insecure that they have to do that.
Right.
But
exactly.
It's the vulnerable ones that do that. So, your turn, Miss Glory. I keep on going back. I'm calling you everything tonight.
You may. It's all good. Just don't call me late for dinner. We're good.
I'm just gonna refer to you as gorgeous. How's that? Your turn, gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. One of my favorite stories that I heard this season is about, it was on MUR, and it's about this 93-year-old man that made 300 wooden trucks for children for the holidays this year. 93. 300 trucks. Do you know how much work that is? If you've ever done woodworking, that's a lot of work. And at 93, that is just amazing. I mean, what an inspiration that, we all know people that, oh my God, I'm 60, my life is over, oh, blah, blah, blah. This man's 93 and still giving back to the world, still making a positive contribution. I just find that incredibly, incredibly inspirational. It makes me want to do more and to step up and to help any way we can. And, we all try to do our little parts. I don't know if you saw on Facebook, I was trying to rehome my orange bear collection.
Yep.
And I know that sounds silly, but I had like 168 of them. And someone made the mistake of telling me I would never be able to find an orange bear. Prove to them wrong. And a friend of mine works with a charity in Massachusetts that gives gifts to foster children because they're often overlooked. And he's going to give those bears to foster children. And I just think that is how wonderful it is that he cares enough to collect toys for them, and he creates stuff and donates to them. And I just love when people do things like that, when they open their hearts and share and give back and do something that someone else would say, well, that's, means nothing, but to those children, that might be the only gift they get this year.
Well, it was a funny conversation early on in Jeff and my relationship when we started living together. And he would see me go on this thing where I go every day on my Facebook, and I go to every person that's connected with me on Facebook that has a birthday, and I make sure I wish them a happy birthday.
I do that too.
And I always go through, and unless they're one of the ones that don't show up with an option, I used to chase the non-option ones, and then I thought, you know what, they're choosing an option to not want to be wished a happy birthday, so I got to be respectful here. But and because I've got a pretty big Facebook list, and so sometimes I had a lot of happy birthdays to do or whatever, and I was like, but I have to do my happy birthdays. And Jeff said, I got to ask, it's very nice that you do this, but why? And I said, I wish somebody a happy birthday once that was on my Facebook list, and they sent me a private message and thanked me because I was the only person that had wished them a happy birthday that day.
Right.
And that feeling never left me of, if there's nothing else I can do to bring a little joy into somebody's life, then sit down there and wish happy birthday. And I always do like the little color creative one, so I make sure everyone's a little different. I try to match the colors to the background. I mean, I try to put a little bit of thought into it, Even if I've never met you, even if you were a friend of a friend who asked to be friended, it doesn't make any difference. I want to know that at least one person wished you a happy birthday. But those are the little things we can all do.
Right. And it takes you moments, really. I mean, I don't get as creative as you do, but really, what's it take? 10 minutes at most? And you've acknowledged somebody, you've honored somebody, you showed them that somebody cares. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And it's so easy. I don't understand why more people don't do that.
And you know what? When you do stuff for other people, it is actually good for your mental health.
Yes.
When people come to me in my practice, and they say things to me, and they, if they're struggling with depression or things like this, and they're like, I don't want to take medication or blah 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 blah, because I'm all alternatives. And one of the first things I always say is, go find something nice to do for somebody else once a day. That's your first. There's your first prescription from Dr. Kevin. I don't care what it is. Go find something nice to do for somebody every day. Just some little act.
Right, and I've also given that same prescription to clients. My neighbor lost his wife this year, and he's struggling. As anytime you lose your life partner, all the firsts are incredibly hard. And I told him, find something to get involved in, some way to give back that, so you're not just alone sitting here in your, grief.
Yep.
Will he do it?
Yep.
I don't know, but I hope so. I mean, he's a super nice guy. His wife was apparently a wonderful woman. I mean, I didn't really know her, but I just think it's a way to get past yourself.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I'm going to share another one that just tickled me pink, and I'll do that when we get back. And we've got more stories than we're going to get to if we're not careful here, which that's okay, because we're going to come back next week and do it again.
Yeah.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
911, what is your emergency?
My kid shot himself.
All right, where's the wound, sir?
911, what's your emergency?
Please help. My son shot his brother.
911, what is your emergency?
Okay. 911, please state your emergency.
Every day, 8 kids and teens are unintentionally killed or injured by loaded and unlocked guns.
It wasn't locked.
Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and End Family Fire.
Hello, and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show on this merry, merry, happy, ho, ho Thursday in December, and for all the rest of the Thursdays in December. But I do have a little surprise for the last Thursday that I'm going to be launching on Lori live on air, because I like to do those things. But we do have some exciting news coming up for the last Thursday of this month, and then for 2020 with the Dr. Kevin Show. But for all the rest of the Thursdays, this Thursday, next Thursday, and part of the last Thursday, we are going to do inspirational, motivational stories to be part of the season, to bring hope and inspiration and jolly joy. So I'm going to ask you this question before we get to another story. And actually, I want to do the announcements before I run out of time, since this is our last segment and this has been going incredibly quickly. Do you have any special Christmas tradition that is a must tradition for you every year?
Just being with my kids and my grandkids, my family. That's the must for me. I have to be with them. Other than that, we don't hold fast and true to any real traditions anymore. We used to. No. What about you?
I have held on to a tradition. And I'm going to tell you why, but every year I must watch during the Christmas season A Christmas Carol. Mm-hmm. I like my favorite version. The 1950s version is my favorite version.
Of course, that's the only good version. I'm sorry, did I say that? It's the best version.
That is the best version. I have the 1938 version, but it's not as good. And at some point, I want to find the Patrick Stewart version, because I never got a chance to catch that when it was out and about, because it was well into my don't own a TV days. But so I have A Christmas Carol, and I watch it every year. And one of the things is, when I was a kid, because I was a baby, and my oldest brother Billy, he loved A Christmas Carol, and he would always watch it with me, because the Christmas ghost would make me scared, because they were scary to a little kid.
Right.
And him and I always watched A Christmas Carol. And of course, my brother Billy got killed when he was 24. And there is something that I don't think I have missed a Christmas season that I don't watch the Christmas Carol. And, because it's a great movie and it's a great reminder, but it keeps a little piece of my oldest brother sitting on the couch with me.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Keeping me safe from the Christmas ghost. Let me do my announcements, and then I'm going to hop to another story and give you another story. Oh, and you found Buy Nothing Merrimack.
I did. I found it.
You're so good. See, that's why I love having you. You're so good. On the last Thursday of the month, you and I are going to have a guest. Oh. We are going to have Rob Stewart, and there'll be more information. He is an astrologer, and we are going to be taking the segments that I used to do on my radio show all the time, and then did on the TV show, as you remember, which was planetary influences. What are the upcoming planetary influences for the month?
Oh, and nice.
Rob is an astrologer, and he's going to come on, and he also does cardamology and a few other things. But he is going to be in 2020 joining me the last Thursday of every month to talk about what are the upcoming planetary influences for the next month. And as you remember, and you are welcome any Thursday you want to hop on and join the conversation about what's going on astrologically. You are welcome to do so.
Thank you.
But I want to remind my listeners, because it's been a while, because I've had several astrologers through the years, because I'm in my 15th year now with my radio show.
Wow, congratulations. That's wonderful. That's amazing.
Yeah. 2020 starts 15 years on the radio. I've been in different places, now I'm with OMTimes, but I've been at a number of different places. But I've had a radio show for 15 years now, and I've had a few astrologers, and I came up with the concept of planetary influences because we should never give our power away to anything. And that includes astrology. And you and I have had this conversation, and I know we agree, but astrologically, these things are influencing us. And we can take advantage of that knowledge and make better choices with it, but it does not determine. It does not decide.
Right.
So, yep.
I love it.
So the other big news, which you're aware of in 2020, is just what we're doing this week and next week and part of the last week of December. Lori and I, on the second Thursday of every month, are going to do Inspirational Motivational Thursday. So once a month, Lori and I are going to find some of the best inspirational motivational stories that we can, that we want to share to keep people focused on gratitude. What can we do that makes our world a better place, makes the world a better place, and how do we make sure we don't lose focus, that there's a lot of great things going on in the world. So first Thursday of the month on the Dr. Kevin Show will be Matt Connerton. Second Thursday of the month will be Reverend Lori and motivational, inspirational shows. On the last Thursday will be the upcoming astrology and other conversations with Rob Stewart. And possibly Lori, you're welcome always to come and join that conversation. And then I'm going to be doing a revolving guest just on that middle Thursday.
I think that sounds exciting. What an exciting year that's coming up, right?
Yeah.
I love this.
So, so there's two stories that I want to share, that I'm going to share at once, and then I'm going to turn it back to you. One is about a man with autism in Rhode Island who was tired of getting rejected with job applications. So this guy with autism, he wanted a job, and he applied, and he applied, and he applied, and no one would hire him. So you know what he did? He opened his own coffee shop.
I love that story. I love that he did that. I find so much inspiration in that he had the courage to follow his dreams, and he wasn't going to let anyone derail him, and he made his dreams come true. And I love that. I love when people just refuse to be dictated to. They create their own path and their own way. And if he can take control of his life, all of us can. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Michael Coyne is a Special Olympics athlete living with autism, bipolar disorder, and they say attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which of course we know I don't think is a disability, but that's beside the point. But as it says here, his character is defined by his determination. So when he turned 21, he decided he couldn't find jobs. He enrolled in business classes through Rhode Island's Developmental Disabilities Council, completed his classes. Coyne and his mother teamed up to open a coffee shop that's inclusive for people with disabilities. The shop sells coffee made with locally roasted beans, as well as pastries, muffins, and calzones. And the coffee shop is called Red, White, and Brew. And it's connected to a craft store called Budding Violet that sells homemade products made by artists with disabilities.
Wow, that's wonderful. I mean, that is awesome. We should all go check that out. Road trip, Kevin?
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to share the mission statement, which is, we are a family-owned coffee shop serving up more than a cup of coffee. We employ people with developmental disabilities, encourage community engagement, and change the world sees those with disabilities. And the hashtag is I am able.
That is awesome. I love that.
Yep. And I am not ashamed to admit that I'm tearing up. I teared up the first time I read this story. I teared up again as I was just sharing it on air. And so often what happens is that people that have some kind of quote unquote disability, and I say quote unquote, not that I'm minimizing any of it, but it's society and our inability sometimes to be flexible or compassionate or understanding that it's the real disability they have to deal with. Yeah. So I'm gonna team that up with one other one that I found, which was an autistic boy fails school exam and teacher sends him home a powerful letter. And this letter, instead of sending this thing home that how Ben failed his test, the letter reads, "Dear Ben, I'm writing you to congratulate you on your attitude and success in completing your end of key stage SATs. Gil, Lynn, Angela, Steph, and Ann have worked so well with you this year, and you have made some fabulous progress. I have written to you and your parents to tell you the results of the test. A very important piece of information, and I want you to understand that these tests only measure a little bit of you and your abilities. They are important, and you have done so well. But Ben Twist is made up of other skills and talents that we at Lansbury Bridge see and measure in other ways." And she goes on before she tells him that though he didn't actually pass the test itself, she has this whole list of things that he is really good at.
Yeah, I've read that letter, and that what an amazing teacher that she builds up her students instead of, she could have just easily not done anything at all. Instead, she took this opportunity to congratulate him on his strengths and on his abilities, and to make him understand that he is so much more than this one test. I mean, that's just beautiful. And I come from a whole line of teachers, so I know how hard that can be.
And and there's this whole perspective thing of, the difference between saying to a child something like, "You got a 54 on your test, you flunked," is you're a little more than halfway there of understanding the information. So let's figure out what we can do as my cat knocks what was supposed to be meditation balls on the floor. You may have heard that in the background.
Cats.
Morgana decided she wanted to make her presence known on the Dr. Kevin show this week. But if we said, you're a little more than halfway there, good job. So we have 46% more of this information. We need to sit down and figure out how we can help you get there. But you're 54% there. So great, it's over halfway. Let's get to it. How different would that make so many children's lives if that was the approach?
Exactly. Right?
Yep.
I love it. And I hope more teachers take inspiration from that teacher. And obviously the school she works at must have a wonderful culture.
Yeah. Support.
Yeah, of encouragement and support. Yeah, and I know teaching's a tough job. It really is, and people don't understand how hard it really can be. But this teacher is love.
Yep. So, we only got about 2 minutes left. We have several stories we didn't get to. We'll add new stories next time. We'll pick up some of the old stories. But I'm going to leave the audience with two little things, which I like to do. Actually, I'm going to ask you first, ladies first. Is there anything you would like to share with the audience that you do to spread motivation, inspiration, and joy?
Well, I do a couple of things, but one thing I do is, like, I have my business page, Light of the One Heart, where that's the whole focus is that we're all connected, and it's about love and joy and caring. And I post a lot of these stories on there for that reason, to inspire people and help people, encourage them to do good things. But I also like to do small things, that people have forgotten about. Holding a door for people, saying please and thank you. And, and just being kind in everything that we can. We're out of time.
And we are out of time. I'm going to share next week a couple of little things that I like to do. Thank you so much. Lori, I can't wait. We're going to have such a blast a week from tonight, doing the exact same thing with some new stories.
Yeah.
Have a great week, everyone.